Welcome to Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, the big butch manly movie podcast that's hot to trot and serving conter. I'm Shane Holland.
I'm Andrew Wheeler.
Today we are talking about the fifth season of the Apple TV series Slow Horses, created by Will Smith, not that one, and based on the novels by Mick Herron. The fifth season is based on the novel London Rules and stars Gary Oldman, Jack Lowden, Kristen Scott Thomas, Christopher Chung, Saskia Reeves, James Callis, and Ruth Bradley. In this season, two populist politicians compete for the London mayoralty. Roddy Ho becomes the target of a honey trap. Emma Flight investigates a mass killing. And Jackson Lamb must defend Slough House from the machinations of First Desk Claude Whelan. Ooh, what a season. Andrew, what are your first thoughts?
Season has everything.
Everything.
Honestly, picking who to name as the stars of this season is like it's always an interesting challenge.
Honestly, I'm actually really
so
surprised. I'm really surprised that you did not include Amy Fionn
Edwards.
Edwards. Yes.
Yeah, she was my just under the cut choice, but we will talk about her because it was by no means a slight against her. She is one of my favorites. But yes, I thought this was a really fun season. Between the fourth and fifth seasons of Slow Horses, I have now caught up and read all of the books, including the one that just came out in the last month or so. So yeah, I am all caught up. And this is, they make some changes, and I think they will make many more changes next season, it sounds like. But this was fairly close to the original in terms of like plot developments, just some specifics that they diverged on. And it is one of the sort of broader, more comedic of both of the books and I think of the show, which has got a few people saying that this was a jump the shark moment. Some critics have been a little harsh on this season, and I don't think that I think they have misunderstood the tone of this show. It's always been as much comedy as drama.
Yeah, that's so surprising to me. I never read the reviews. I'm an artist. I feel like this show from the start has always been tongue-in-cheek, has always blended humor deftly into these serious stories. I mean, I guess my question is, what exactly was it about the humor that seemed so different than last time around? Because I felt like the humor was actually a bit more grounded, maybe toned down. I guess they're probably talking about one very particular moment in, I think, episode 4 that involves a paint can. That's a bit that I guess could come across as a bit slapstick or ridiculous, but it felt so genuinely warranted in that moment that I had no problem with it as a viewer. And even though you could see it coming from a mile away, it was actually like this incredible piece of television that was like, no, surely they won't. Surely they won't. Absolutely, this can't happen. And then my jaw hit the floor and I guffawed and I laughed. And I couldn't believe I had to wait another week for the next episode. It was such an amazing scene.
And that scene is completely faithful to the book. Like, that is exactly what happens in the book as well. And whether you see it first on TV or in the book, I think it has exactly the same, shall we say, impact and encourages the same reaction. We will get into spoilers for all of this, so we will talk a little bit more about that scene possibly. But I will say, like, the character in that scene is very clearly a Nigel Farage stand-in.
Mm-hmm.
And that sequence of events is very clearly a bit of author catharsis, I think. And that's fine,
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, me too. Right, like, create the world you want to live in, right? God, I hope some secret police aren't coming for me right now.
So yeah, you like this season?
Honestly, this might be in my top 2 of the 5 seasons so far, with, I'm gonna say, season 4 being my favorite because of how emotionally resonant it was, or how emotionally resonant it was with me in that time in my life when I watched it. But I love how funny this show can be. it's like it's these antisocial misfits within an antisocial organization. Of course it's going to be ridiculous and bizarre and hilarious, but I
Yeah.
also continue to be surprised by the depths of development that they plumb from what could easily be one note characters.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say, I think that this had maybe the most odious villain with the biggest comeuppance in James Callis's Claude Whelan. I mean, God, what a true prick. We'll talk about him more, but I absolutely loved what he did with this character this season.
Yeah. Yeah. James Callis is a tremendously good performer and has been playing like unctuous villains since Battlestar Galactica, I suppose.
Yeah.
So yeah, the perfect role for him, and a great role for Nick Mohammed, our Taskmaster slash Ted Lasso slash the Traitors
Traitors.
fave,
Yeah.
getting to play. I think playing a version of Sadiq Khan, Mayor of London, but I don't think Sadiq Khan is quite as big of a twat as Nick Mohammed's character. I've always liked Sadiq Khan. He was my MP when I lived in Tooting.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, so I voted for Sadiq Khan many times before I left London forever. So yeah, I think Nick Mohammed was playing a much broader satirical version, whereas I think their version of Nigel Farage was actually maybe like restrained, pulled in a little at the edges.
Nigel Farage is not Turkish?
Oh, and he's not letting it out of the bag if he is.
No, certainly not. I almost hate that they tease the next season because I love this show so much. Can't wait. I hate that I get like these little bits and pieces, and I can't imagine what it must be like for you, who's now read the entire series and who knows what's upcoming. But for me, someone who's in the dark, like I see a funeral and black suit and tie and car chases, and I'm immediately rock hard.
The next season is going to be an absolute banger. I am sure of it. Like that trailer was amazing, so exciting. It is two books put together. Book 6 and book 7 have been merged together for the next season, which is interesting. This is in the trailer. There's a protect a child plot, and there's a Slough House has been erased plot, and those are book 6 and book 7 respectively, and they have mashed those two things together. And I'm very excited to see how it all pays out because they're both really fun books that have a lot to do with Slough House as an entity. Like it's really interesting seeing this family come together across the series, which of course sounds sentimental in a way that Will Smith and Mick Herron do not intend. Like I think Jackson Lamb in the very first series is like, I don't secretly love you and I'm not secretly doing this stuff to look after you and take care of you. But he is. But he doesn't like them really.
Yeah.
But he does
just
think
like
of
a
them
family.
As his. Yeah. So the fact that the first season there were characters where I'm like, who are these people? We never really get to spend time with Roddy or et cetera, et cetera. And with each season, we get to know different characters in different degrees. Like last season is one of your favorites because it's a Jack Loudon heavy season. It's like the most Jack Loudon season since one, maybe.
The first season.
This was a Roddy Ho heavy season. Next season is going to be, I'm hoping will be a Shirley heavy season. And it's going to have Lenny Rush, who I love. It's going to have Harry Lloyd, who, I mean, that is a beautiful man. Maybe reprising his character from that show where the other Jack was playing a mathematics genius, Leo Woodall.
I actually think one of the things that I like so much about season 4 and season 5 is how much it centers on Shirley. So I'm very excited to hear you say that she might be more central in the coming seasons. And I think that leads us perfectly into our next section. Let's talk about the women of Slow Horses.
The women. I mean, I will talk about Shirley first because I put it in my notes and everything. She has become my favorite slow horse.
Yes.
She is such a blunt instrument, but she may also be the best agent they have. And Lamb says as much when they have the incredible debrief sequence in the hotel bar. And it riles River no end because Shirley's flaw is addiction. It's something that is outside herself. River's flaw is hubris, which is internal and so much more dangerous. And he looks at her and he looks at everyone else, and it's like everyone else's flaws seem so much more like
surface.
Yeah, like they don't deserve what's happened to them, and I am the architect of my own disaster, and I cannot accept it. Yeah, Shirley's amazing. I love Shirley so much.
Me too. I connect with her character the most as a recovering addict. I just see so much of the character of Shirley coping in ways that are harmful but also self-soothing. Um, and just the way that Amy Fian Edwards is a master of the art. You truly believe in her as a badass, as flawed, as a person struggling with grief and drowning her sorrow in her addiction.
That's
Like I've just never felt more attuned to a person that is a like TV/novel character. But my God, was she fun to watch this season? Particularly that she just takes the lead in every situation. I think it might be
yeah,
the second last or the last episode where Lamb says that the terrorists would do something that only a true psychopath could think of. And Shirley is the first one out the door, followed by Ko, and River standing there like, what the fuck?
yeah. I mean, I would argue Ko is the bigger psychopath, but
Oh,
it's
yeah.
we almost need to do a tier list of like how
How
unhinged is everyone.
psychopathic. Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking of actually talking about meme content. You know that thing you see online where it's like one of these characters is going to protect you, all the other characters are going to try and kill you. Who do you pick to be the one that defends you? And I'm like, I think I would pick Shirley, and I think I would get killed by Ko, but I would still pick Shirley.
Yeah, absolutely. Other amazing women in this season. It is so nice to have Kristen Scott Thomas a bit more front and center again. I feel like she was really
Yes.
sidelined in the last season, and that was particularly because of the story of the season. But also, I feel like season 3, she was a little backseat, but she shows up in her all black power suits in this season in such a heavy way. She earned more screen time, and it's just a blessing because of how entertaining and
Yeah.
smart her character is.
Yeah, Kristen Scott Thomas is a perfect example of how this show has an incredible ensemble cast and doesn't like force them all to be like doesn't try and balance them actually across a season,
Mhm.
but is trying to balance them across the whole show because she never really I think maybe season 2 she's never really had as meaty a part. She just does incredibly well with whatever she's given. But she has like I think this was her best season and next season she's first desk. So I mean,
Spoiler alert.
all going to kick off. Yeah. And I love how this show treats female characters in general because they're all
Mhm.
badasses. They all have incredible moments, but they also are all struggling under the system. And the show is not trying to pretend that sexism doesn't exist. It's not trying to pretend that because they're badass, they're like above the structural problems that they face. Like even Diana Taverner is constantly backfooted by people's presumptions about her. And even she is sexist towards Flight. Like she treats
Mhm.
Flight like an absolute, well, she treats her like a dog, which she is. But, there's like a resentment of Flight, I think, in Taverner's attitude. Yeah, I love the complexity of these women.
Yes, and speaking of Flight, I'm just loving that character. Introduced last season, right?
I think it was last, yeah.
Yes, right, of course, because the dogs were under attack and she came in and tries to sort them out. She truly feels like the most competent person in any room, and she gets a lot of action. I think she actually gets more action scenes than most of the slow horses.
Yeah.
And I particularly love the honeypot drop off in the subway at Piccadilly, where she knows that everything about this is wrong, and sure enough, everything about this is wrong, and they go on a wild foot chase, and it's just her being angry and furious, and also knowing that this was going to happen. Really, really great stuff.
Yeah.
I think one of my favorite slow horses, though, has got to be Catherine Standish.
Yes. Preach.
I mean, you're introduced to her as like the mousy secretary, and in our minds you're supposed to be like, oh, but she's the one who secretly like loves them all and does believe that this is a family. But it turns out that she could also give about a rat's ass towards any of them as much as Jackson Lamb could. She just does have like a bit more sense of camaraderie than he does, but she actually gets to be more and more of a hero as the show go on, which is
Yeah.
an incredible and unexpected journey for me watching this. Like, she gets dragged into the field and is simultaneously brilliant and inept in all of those moments. I just love her. I just absolutely love the character.
Saskia Reeves is so brilliant in the role, and it's one of the least glamorous roles for a woman on television, and she leans all the way in on that. The
Mhm.
ratty cardigans, the grey hair, the constantly being put down by Jackson, the only character less glamorous than her. And yeah, the fact that we are reminded throughout the season she is an intelligence agent. She isn't
Mhm.
just a secretary, pardon the expression. She, like, she is, when Jackson says, which exit do you think you're going to take? And she just literally stands up, looks over the fence, does a quick head
That
around
one.
and is like, that one.
Yep.
And she's right.
Yep.
But at the same time, she has a bit too much faith in people. Like, she walks up to that door of the embassy thinking, all right, I've got this. And no,
I can
Lamb has played
convince.
her and manipulated her as usual. It's a great role. She's great in it. And yeah, she does know what she's doing. She just also is surrounded by dicks. And is a
Mhm.
bit of a dick herself. God bless her. Is as
Yeah.
broken as the
Yeah,
rest of them.
absolutely.
And one of the things I love actually about Emma Flight, played by Ruth Bradley, is in the books a glamorous woman. She's blonde, she's beautiful. Like, she's not movie glamorous, but she's everyday gorgeous. And they
Mm.
cast perfectly for that. So we have these two extremes of, like, this is the least glamorous woman in Catherine Standish, and this is the most glamorous woman in Emma Flight. But they still both look like real people that you would
Yeah.
encounter day to day. Yeah, it's great performances from all the women. And unfortunately, we don't get much Louisa Guy this season, but she'll be back.
Teaser, teaser. I mean, one of my
As she
notes is
and
bring Louisa back.
River.
I love that character and I love the relationship that she has with River, and to have her written out in the like for the first scene of the first episode of this season and not return so unexpectedly. I really thought that we were
Right.
going to get a Louisa cameo at least in the very last scene to tie it all together. The great thing about this show is, unlike other book series that have been adapted to television, this show feels like it has a plan. This show feels
Yeah.
like it knows exactly what it's doing with these characters. It films multiple seasons at a time in advance, and I trust the creators with this show. And so I I knew that she would be back because of how important this character is to this story. I just don't know when. And I love that I can know something and still be kept on the tip of my toes waiting for it.
Yeah. And love the way she left. Like, she said, don't call me, not in a week, not at all. I'll call you and maybe I won't. Like, that was kind of the vibe. A brilliant
Mhm.
scene between her and River where he kisses her, because all men ultimately are incels who think this is the solution. Like, incel is the theme of the season in a big way.
Mhm.
Like, River is dealing with his masculinity crisis. I guess we're segueing into the boys here.
Let's do it.
River
If we're
has his
talking about
masculinity
incels.
crisis. The inciting incident of the whole show is an incel attack, and Roddy Ho is the star of the season. So, yeah, incels everywhere you look, so like real life. And by the way, this whole season takes place in like 24 hours, I think. Like, it's a
Maybe
real
40.
breakneck season. Yeah.
Oh my God, you're right. I think it is absolutely 24 hours. I hadn't thought about that. Wow. Cool.
So
Just like
Louisa was
one of
not
my
coming
other
back. She'd
favorite
been gone
spy
a day.
shows. Wait. Oh my God. That makes that so much darker that she said, do not contact me. And then a day later, he calls her. Whoa. Because I was just going
What
to
a
ask,
prick.
what a prick. Like, how do you feel about that? But now I'm like questioning myself. How do I feel about that? Like, this character that I love, who is an asshole and has been an asshole, does like the one thing that she asked him not to do.
Yeah.
But also, he's like finally reaching out to her in good faith. And so part
Yeah.
of me, like, when I first saw it, I was like, that's like kind of actually really sweet that he finally gets it. But now I'm like, well, that's a pretty quick change of heart.
It's been a day, River. I think partly this is that if you told Jack Loudon never call me again and he called you a day later, you'd be like,
Hey,
hi,
baby.
Jack. Because men are not like women. We're stupid.
Mm-hmm. Oh, tell me about it. It's so
But Jack
hard to
Loudon,
not just spend another hour gushing over Jack Loudon. He's so
I think
incredible in
he's
this role.
and so I mean, this season was a great look for him. Bruised masculinity looks so good on him, so hot. Like the scruff, the close crop. He's a little more haggard, a little more strung out, a little more vulnerable, snapping at people all the time. And I'm like, okay, this is peak River for me. This guy's an asshole.
Oh yeah. I mean, Jack Loudon just has incredible comedic timing. And this is the
Mm,
second time that he's made me tear up at the end of a season. Like he knows how to cut to the quick. And
yeah.
I think it goes without saying, he's the most gorgeous man on television right now. Well, he might be in a tie with the Blue Jay Davis Schneider, but that's neither here nor there. Very different leagues. I just,
You're
God,
just lucky that
you
Interview with the Vampire is not currently on air. That's all.
I know, I know. I just want to bring him into the picture as I talk about him. Thank you for this, by the way, this lovely gift. The other picture that you gave me is directly in front of me so that I can be staring at Jack Loudon at any time throughout the day. I just wanted to tell you how much I
Shane
love you.
recently, I should tell the viewers that Shane recently moved to new digs, as you can probably tell. And yes,
I
I
mean,
did
it's a
give
little different
Shane
back
a
here.
it's a little different. There's no wall behind you anymore. And I gave Shane a Jack Loudon portrait as a housewarming gift. And then another one like a week later.
Yeah, yeah,
Let's
because
see how many I can give
my
him.
mother and my brother said that the first one wasn't good enough, which is like, how dare
Yes.
you? Look at this face.
They
And
said it wasn't
also
sexy enough.
right. They also failed to like recognize that the other side of this picture is incredibly sexy as well. And it's not Jack Loudon, it's Leo Woodall. But we're not
Yes.
talking about Leo Woodall today. We're talking about Jack Loudon.
Amazing how he's come up twice. We're not talking about him.
He's always going to come up.
Mhm.
Anyways, back up here, buddy. This is the best Roddy Ho season for a character that
Yes.
is a disgusting incel. He gets to like chew the fat in this entire season. And it turns out he has the body of an Adonis.
I mean, they literally
My
had to
God.
write it into the script because he is
Hmm.
so jacked that they had to have Shirley say, if he wasn't such a prick, he'd be a prime piece of meat. And also Ko later on is like, no, he's hotter than you, River. Like, he's got a better
Yeah.
body. Apparently in real life, Christopher Chung is a personal trainer as well as an actor. So that explains a lot.
Wow.
He is, yeah, he's absolutely got a superhero body. And that is crazy because I would never have imagined that from looking at this, like, sad sack in the loose fitting tracksuits.
I mean,
And
that
also, like,
just goes
Christopher
to
Chung,
show. I was going to say that just goes to show like what a brilliant actor Christopher Chung is, because I find it so
yeah,
hard to separate the character from the actor. In this particular instance, he's yeah, like in isolation, you look at Christopher Chung and you're like, my God, what a beautiful man. But the character of Roddy is so horrendous that I would never think that about him unless you told, like,
yeah.
unless you showed me visual evidence.
Christopher Chung has really unique features. Like he has a very
Mhm.
large, rubbery face, and they dress him to be repellent. They style him to be repellent. Like this season, his hair is pulled back with blonde tips, and it's like, oh my God. No shade on those of you who have had blonde tips in the past.
Or currently.
It's a Roddy thing. But yeah, like when you see Christopher Chung, pictures of that man, he's husband material. It's like, okay, yeah, this is a great transformation. Because I would not have imagined that this was an attractive man when I first met Roddy Ho. You know, he
You've met
really
Roddy Ho?
they do an
I see what
incredible
you
job.
mean. Yeah,
He is a
it
Roddy Ho.
really.
He does say Roddy by
Mm-hmm.
name, Ho by nature.
Oh, great, brilliant line. And he doesn't, I wouldn't say he's so much as a character arc this season, because he is exactly the same going into it as he does leaving it. But he
Yeah.
gets so much to do with that character. It's incredible. You finally understand a bit more of his internal life, and it's as bad as you think it's going to be, but it's ceaselessly entertaining. The delusion that he believes that he righteously has like secured this woman in his life, the beautiful Tara, who, oh my God, I forgot to talk about in the women's section. I
Oh
did
yes.
write her name down. Heba Benani as Tara. Wonderful, fantastic femme fatale energy throughout the
Yes.
season. She plays Roddy's honey trap girlfriend, and yeah, they are so mismatched that everyone was like, no, that you've been honey trapped. Like the moment that he shows a picture to anyone, and then
Yeah.
he doesn't change his mind throughout the season, and I love that about
Not
him.
once.
Nope.
He totally believes that she loves him and that Emma Flight loves him, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and that he is Jackson's favorite and that he is the one competent person. Um, yeah, that he's an incredible character. He's such a prick, but like lovable in a kind of a way. And also, I
Yeah.
never want to meet a person like him in my life. And
Yeah.
sadly, I have met many people like him in my life.
Mm.
Yeah, great character. But also, like, he is brilliant at what he does. Like, it's been established out time and time again. Like, the problem is his personality, not his skills.
Mm.
And they've really, like, make it clear how that works. It's like, no, his skills are phenomenal. And his personality is the most abrasive and intolerable personality that a human being can have.
And that's exactly why he landed in Slough House. It's perfect. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
Last on my list, I mean, there's so many men in this season. Nick Mohammed's mayor character, all of the terrorists. But for me, and I've talked about him already, Claude Whelan is one of the greatest villains I've seen in Agents. I feel like this is what Andrew Scott was aiming for in the film Spectre.
Yes, you're right. Yeah. But James Callis, I mean, he's a beautiful man.
Mhm.
Always reminded me a lot of Alexander Siddig.
Yes, you brought up the
And
Star Trek love
and
in me.
yeah, yes. Beautiful, similar looking men in science fiction dramas, who end up being in spy dramas 20 years later. That is the course of life. Yeah. So yeah, brilliant performance. Claude Whelan, such a prick.
Spoiler alert. We've already kind of gone into spoilers, but
But-
the terrorist plot goes awry. Well, no, it doesn't really go awry. It nearly succeeds, and it is
yeah.
truly stopped at the last minute by Shirley and Co., followed by River. And then it turns out that the last terrorist goes to target Whelan directly. And we get this wonderful, wonderful scene where River comes running out of nowhere and saves the day. And Claude Whelan's reaction is just so pathetic and wonderful that it makes you hate him even more. And you can see how this becomes like a supervillain. And he tries it in the very next scene. He goes to Lamb
Well,
and he's like, "Oh, good job, old chap. I'm taking the building away from you." And Lamb is like, "Actually, fuck that." And plays the recording that he has of Whelan saying all of this horrible shit and threatening the life of the mayoral candidate who ends up dying. It's just this brilliant moment of television where all of these tiny little crumbs that have been laid very sparingly throughout the season but
yeah.
have felt important all come together in this wonderful click play the recorder moment. I was so enamored with how well written this season was.
A couple more boys I want to shout out. Bill El Hasna plays Irfan, the son of Nick Mohammed's character. I've seen that actor in a couple of other things. He is a cutie and a queer actor. Big
Hmm.
ups to Bill El Hasna. Ko does not get a big part this season, I mean, he's not my idea of a crush. It has to be said, but Ko is a great character, and it's very deliberate that this season he's invisible. Like, he is very deliberately kept in reserve for most of the season. But seeing him and River as a pairing, comedy gold.
Oh,
I mean, absolutely delightful. River and Co
we've
together.
we've got to go into that scene because we haven't talked about it in detail at all. But, well, I mean, we kind of talked about it. Anyways, that moment where they are trailing the Nigel Farage character, and Nigel Farage is accosted by Nick Mohammed's tour manager. What do you call them?
Chief of
Campaign
Staff.
manager. Chief of staff, yes, in the back alley. And then he leaves, and Co like drops a can of paint, and it doesn't, and it just like goes like down to the next level, and it gets caught on like a rope. And Nigel Farage is like, what the fuck? And River comes out. He's like, sorry, we were following you. We heard that there was an attempt on your life. And then this character like just starts laying into them. And Ko shows up and they're both standing there. And the can of paint has slowly been like doing like a down the scaffolding. And you're like the entire time, surely they're not going to do what I think they're going to do. And it is such a beautiful moment of catharsis when that paint can lands and crushes this man's skull and he lands in the pavement and they both look at his body and River says, "Yep, he's dead."
And
Immediately
River is
after saying,
covered
"We're from
in
MI5."
just
Yes,
like
Claude Whelan. I mean, God,
uh,
it's one of those things where like it's just that wonderful thread that gets pulled at the end, and we know that that is also on the tape is so brilliant. I could not stop laughing and gasping when that happened.
now we've talked a lot about the women and the boys, and that's fair because we don't have a lot to talk about in the other of our three categories, or the other three of our five categories, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get into those, but I think it'll be pretty cursory. The music of Slow Horses. Shane?
Some theme songs you never skip. Star Trek The Next Generation, 30 Rock, The Simpsons. I have not sat through the Slow Horses theme song once since I heard it in the first episode, unless I couldn't reach the controller fast enough. That Mick Jagger song
Honestly,
is one of the worst TV themes that cements Apple TV's status as being tone deaf when it comes to their original television themes.
I think all of the worst opening themes I've ever heard are on Apple TV shows. Like the Ted Lasso theme, the Shrinking theme,
Oof.
and this piece of trash, Strange Game by Mick Jagger and Daniel Pemberton. The most literal theme song since Cheers. Like it's all like, we're spies who aren't very good and we want to be proper spies again. And it's like, I mean, the Cheers theme song is one I would never skip, but this, awful, awful. So yeah, there's no way there's no universe in which I can ever give Slow Horses a point for the music to, just to spoil my own rating later. But there are some
Mhm.
other musical elements in the show.
Yes.
Bad club music, which River says, enjoy your shit music in your shit club. And I thought, yes.
And I thought, hey, that was the only music that I actually enjoyed.
yeah, I had a feeling. Terrible music playing at Louisa Guy's Leaving Do.
Mm-hmm.
But my favorites, Simply Irresistible, is Roddy Ho's ringtone and personal theme.
Oh my
Incredible.
God.
And the brilliant cover of She's Not There that plays in end of episode 5.
It was diegetic, but it was also like so appropriate
Yeah.
and yeah, such a haunting version of that song, which like just highlighted the character of Tara and the stakes of the game that we were actually playing.
I cannot find who the singer was of that cover of She's Not There, but it's always been one of my favorite songs, the Zombies song. And it's beautiful. And I will try to flash their name up on the screen because when I asked Google who performed it, it was like Mick Jagger. I'm like, no, it
No.
is not correct. But yes, all credit to that artist. And when I say that, I mean, I will give the credit. It will appear here on the screen. Anything else you'd like to say about the music, Shane?
No, let's move on
No.
to something equally disappointing.
By design.
Yes, this show is anti-fascist and anti-fashion. The
The
only
real
thing to
Antifa.
note, yeah, that's the Antifa I stand behind. Actually, I do stand behind both. I just want everyone to know that.
No, I'm only anti-fascist. Fashion's cool.
Right, that's right. Yeah. Oh God, where am I? They go
So
to a lovely
confused.
hotel bar.
They go to a lovely hotel bar that is very London bougie. Exactly like it felt so real to me. It reminded me of just the worst places in London. The most glamorous Slow Horses location I think we've ever had is that bar.
Yeah. Otherwise, I mean, the show is so decidedly anti-glamour that it would feel out of place for there to be
Yeah.
glamour front, or for any character to exhibit any kind of glamour. That is particularly why Tara stands out as a villain, is because she is
Yeah,
the only one who actually gets to wear like normal people's clothes in a way that a beautiful person would.
yeah. It's a big season for leisure wear, big season for shell suits. Roddy, in his first appearance this episode, is wearing this like crushed velvet tracksuit that is kind of like Roddy has a sense of style. Like there's something there. It's awful, but there's something there, you know?
Yeah. He knows what it is, at least. Know
Yes, he
thyself.
knows. He knows what it is.
Yeah.
No one else has a sense of style. I mean, I would argue Catherine Standish has an anti-style, you know?
Okay, yeah. I mean, honestly, you see a lot more women dressing like Catherine Standish than you do see them dressing like a Bond woman. And I feel
Yes.
like that normcore for women has come back so hard. That is Catherine Standish our style icon in this show? Perhaps.
Maybe. And we should shout out Diana Taverner as well. Her suits are impeccable.
Oh yeah.
She looks
Yeah,
great.
absolutely.
Always accessorized with a glass of wine, you know?
And MI5 itself is very austere but sleek. It's
Yes.
in the classic like Bondian, this place is more technological than you think, and very also a second time it's come up, but 24 reminiscent of like the CTU, I think it was called, where every office
Yes.
is just window panes looking down on the workers, a real status symbol kind of place. And I like that about it. Like, I don't like the status symbol part, but I like that it has a take on power.
There's that great moment in, I think, episode 2, maybe, where Taverner says to Flight, "Get some rest," and Flight's like, "Oh, I'm not going home, ma'am." And she says, "No, I didn't mean for you to go home. I just meant put your feet up somewhere." And Flight looks around at this austere space where there is like
There's no
nowhere
couches.
to relax.
Yeah.
Perfect.
All right. Let's talk about the last disappointing thing in all of Slow Horses, the queerness. This,
I mean,
I can't believe that this show about lovable misfits has such a lack of queer representation. And not just like a lack, a glaring hole where there is no queer representation.
where the characters you think might be queer never are. Shirley Dander is
Mhm.
often mistaken as a queer person. Is not. No one is. And yeah, it's so disappointing to me. And, Mick Herron is, I guess, responsible for that. Like, again, having read the books, there are characters in the books that could be queer, but as I don't recall anyone ever being queer. There are two changes from the book that are relevant here. In the book, the Nigel Farage character's big secret is not that he's Turkish, it's that he's a cross dresser,
Oh,
which,
ooh.
the people adapting this for the screen were like, nope, we're not doing that.
Yeah, we can't have the villains be both Libyan and also cross-dressers. Like,
Right.
and also one of them is trans. Like, so
Yeah, exactly.
maybe doesn't
I
play
mean,
so well.
the Nigel Farage character's wife is going to write a column about how all of them were trans anyway, so that's just a given.
True. Yeah.
One of the other big changes from the novel is that the villains weren't Libyan. The terrorists were Chinese in the book, and the honey trap wasn't a brilliant secret mastermind. She was basically a victim. Those are big changes that are sort of
Oh,
positioning the women in a more powerful role. But yeah, I don't know if there
interesting.
was like a fear of, like Apple not wanting to offend the Chinese. Is that a thing that might have happened there?
Honestly, yeah, a lot of manufacturing done.
Mhm.
Yeah, that seems pretty obvious, actually. Wow. Rough. Rough.
Yeah,
It's so funny how, sorry, just to continue on that thread, there's no good way to other a villain, right? Obviously not all
right.
villains can be the white man, or like the symbol of
But
authority or
they have
power,
been.
that even though they have been, but like in some, God, how do I say this? For us as queer people, we see ourselves often represented in villain characters because that is largely how
Yeah,
culture has painted us to be. And then we
and we
kind of
attach to them.
reclaim that and we attach to them. And that's why we like the Ursulas, we like the Winton kids, because even though they are supposed to be larger than life, amazing. Even though they are supposed to be like representations of bad people, we are actually represented in them in ways that we are not in regular media. It is alarming then that we are both giving a woman agency by making her part of the plot and not just a bystander in a plot, but also that she is a brown woman in a team of
For sure.
brown people, which has so, like, since the late 90s, been the scapegoat of every political thriller, of every terrorist plot in every show we've ever seen since 2001.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, we haven't really moved on from the plot much when as a society we see that the villains are the Apples and the Teslas and the
Yeah.
X's and the Amazons. It's like, when are those guys going to be portrayed as the true villains that we have in our society? That's right. They own the media, and therefore those
Yeah.
shows are not allowed to happen.
So poor
Rant
Jonathan
over.
Pryce in Tomorrow Never Dies will be the only time
Once
we ever get to see
again,
that.
proving that Tomorrow Never Dies was ahead of its time and is the only Bond film that stands up.
By the way, Jonathan Pryce remains great in this show, but really not in this this season
No.
very much. But we love Jonathan. The other big change from the book that I noticed that fits in to this category is Devon, the second in command to Emma Flight, is a man in the books and is a woman in the show.
Mm.
I mean, so far there doesn't seem to be any other distinctions between the characters, but I love that they made that change because it means that
Yes.
the top two dogs are both women now.
I love that as well. And I mean, maybe this is a bit of a trope of women in policing, but there is a bit of a butch vibe to both of those women that I
Yeah.
really enjoy, and I hope to see more of. And we don't have to label everyone's like every single character's sexuality in every show. That is not what I'm asking here. But like, everyone gets like some kind of line like, ooh, I fancy her, or ooh, my partner
Right.
back at home, blah blah blah. Like, just some throwaway to confirm that someone in this universe is gay and maybe a good person would be really nice.
Well, neither of those things is going to happen.
No, well, okay,
I
especially if
will
they're one of the
say
slow horses.
the one thing I should mention here is I think it's Coe that describes River as profoundly asexual, but doesn't mean it in the queer sense. Means it in the
Mhm.
sense of a person without sexual appeal, basically,
Which is
which
so
is
far
wrong.
from the
But
truth.
but that's Coe. He sees the world a little differently.
Well, we're doing our scoring, right? Of course. Let's score this wonderful show that we have so many problems with. On a scale of 0 to 5, Andrew, how do you feel about Slow Horses?
This season, it's a 4 or a 5, and because I literally just watched the final episode yesterday and then rewatched almost the entire thing to prepare for this, I want to say 5, but I feel like that's too generous, so I'm going to say 4, just to acknowledge the
Okay.
recency bias, and because
Okay.
maybe this isn't my number one season of Slow Horses, so let's hold that in reserve.
You know what? I think that's fair. Yeah, my gut instinct is like, oh, this is a 5, and maybe in hindsight that will be true, but I also have to recognize that I always favor the recency bias.
Yeah.
So I will also give this a 4. An outstanding season of television, riveting, but did it have the emotional impact that the last episode of the last season had? No. I think what that season did so well was show Cartwright's journey from like understanding who his family really is and delivering it in such a way that was sad and beautiful and real. This season didn't get the chance to do that because it did have an incel vibe, and there was no way anyone was going to look good at the end of it.
The trailer did promise the return of Frank, so That's exciting.
Yes. All right. How about the women? Are they getting a point from you?
Catherine, Shirley.
Flight,
Well, I mean,
Tara.
Welsh Shirley's always get a point from me. So yeah, definitely.
Did you just come up with that right now? Yeah, I agree.
I did.
I could tell. Shirley absolutely gets a point all on her own, but the supporting cast is so strong in terms of giving women roles here. We have to give them a point.
No. And then the boys. I mean, it's
Are
Jack.
we rewarding incel behavior? Yeah, I guess so. I love Jack Loudon so much that again, I don't need anyone else in this show. But I think that James Callis is beautiful and a great actor. I
Yes.
think that Christopher Chung, oh my god, what a revelation that he's beautiful this season. What a hunk. And then the characters are also complex. They're not, even the incels aren't entirely one note. There is a complexity to them. Yes, they get the point.
I must stress, we don't need the male characters to be complex. We just need them to be pretty. But it's always a nice bonus.
Yes, that
Yeah.
is correct.
Yeah. Jack Loudon, Christopher Chung, they get the point. Traitors is teaching me that Nick Mohammed is actually kind of hot, which was
Mm-hmm.
unexpected to me.
There's a
But he's only
confidence.
hot when he's himself.
Yeah,
He's hot on Traitors. He's not hot on this, unfortunately.
agreed. Okay, and here is where we lose the plot a little. I cannot, in good faith, give Slow Horses a point for the music.
I refuse. I almost would apply the penalty if I could.
Yeah.
But that's not what it's for. Fashion.
And again, I just don't feel like it would be good to say that this is a good representation of fashion.
And it's not a good representation of queerness either. So, yeah, falling down on all
Yeah.
of those points. But I'm not giving you a
I
penalty.
No, absolutely not. And this gives us both a 6.
Mhm.
And this is going to be one of those caveats where I say just because our system is broken doesn't mean that you shouldn't rush to watch this season. This is a 6 out of 10
Our
in terms
system is specific.
that sorry, thank you. We have a a very specific set of skills. While this is not the queer action show we want, this is the action show that we want.
Yeah.
In terms of watchability, this is a 10 out of 10.
Yeah. We love Slow Horses. And even though Will Smith, the showrunner till now, has stepped away, he's leaving it in the show in good hands of people from his writing crew. And the next season looks so good. And I already know it's going to get the boys' point because Harry Lloyd is in it. And I've been in love with that man's face for, I don't know, 20 years at this point, I guess. So yeah, we will be back to talk about season 6 when that wraps. And maybe we'll go back and talk about the previous seasons at some point as well.
I have been thinking a lot about doing a rewatch. Let's do it. I'm all in on that.
Let's see how this one does in the. Oh,
Okay,
on
if we
which
get
on
more
which
than
topic?
3 views, then we are doing season 1.
3 views,
And they
1
can't be
like.
us included. Yeah.
Oh, I never watch.
No, neither do I. I can't watch myself.
I have to edit it. I don't want to have to watch it again after that. Oh my god.
Anyway, don't forget to like and subscribe. Tell your friends you watch, and we will keep doing this because we love to do this. As always,
Absolutely.
until next time, kiss kiss.
Bang bang.
If you enjoyed this video, please click the like button and subscribe to this channel. You can follow Kiss Kiss Bang Bang on Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, and Letterboxd at KKBBpod, or email us at kisskissbangbangpod@gmail.com.
Kiss Kiss Bang Bang is recorded in Toronto on the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabeg, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples.